All praises is given to Yahweh Bahasham Yahweh Shai, which means all praises is given up to the Most High, the Almighty, the Heavenly Father of all that exists, whose true name is Yahweh, meaning he that be or he that exists. Bahasham, meaning in the name, and Yahweh Shai, meaning he is Savior, he is Deliverer, who is the Son, the anointed Savior, the first begotten of the Heavenly Father. That is how you say the Most High and his Son name in the true and ancient Hebrew, the pure Hebrew. In addition, I'm going to give double honors to the elders of Great Millstone of GMS, the men that labor and who rule well, and who have been deemed by the Most High to be worthy enough and honorable to receive the true sound understanding of the Holy Scriptures and what we know as the King James Version Bible with the 1611 today. Additionally, I want to give props, honors, much love and salutations to you brothers who labor in the spirit in serving the Lord by teaching his word within the spirits of truth, faith, diligence, and truth. Well, I said truth, got to put extra emphasis on that. All those to the best of your abilities. So, this is my first lesson utilizing my cell phone on this app called, let me see, right here, this app, Mobizen for Samsung. And the brother out there in the Dallas camp, the head brother out there, the brother Yashawamba, this brother put it out there that you have this phone app, because I haven't done sit-down videos in a while, simply because of laptop issues and other things. But now I'll be back to doing sit-down lessons. And it's a blessing. It's all praises and glory given to Yahweh Bahasham Yahweh Shai to be allowed to continue doing the work besides just hopping out on the highways and byways teaching. Now I'll be able to be a little bit more consistent, Lord's will, out of when you Ratazah, and putting out different lessons. And this is a real good app, man. This is a very good app, because you could do a lesson quick with this app. And so that's what I plan on doing today. Lord willing, through the Spirit, it will be an edifying lesson. I want to touch on real quick the subject of the new moon and how do we count the days of the new moon to come up to the understanding of when is the Sabbath. Now, the elder apostle Tahar, he basically puts out videos every month, or a video every month, to tell brothers when the Sabbath day is. And you could go online and you could look up on Google New Moon 2016 calendar, and you could read the dates for whenever the new moon is on the calendar. And usually when you read on the website for the dates on the calendar, the New Moon 2016 calendar online, it'll always tell you usually that the new moon is the day or the date after the new moon comes in. The new moon comes in before the date that's stated on those websites for the New Moon 2016 calendar. And we're going to touch on that because, it's within the Lord's law when you read the book of Exodus and the book of Leviticus, the 23rd chapter, of how we were given the Sabbath day. Every 7 days, we take a rest from work, labor, a rest from pleasure and doing what we see fit that satisfies ourselves. Basically a day giving up homage to the Most High by having relaxation to rest our flesh and coincidingly our spirit, because that's what animates and keeps our flesh moving, pumping, pressing like a machine, like an engine. So we honor the Most High by observing, holding, and upkeeping his Sabbath day. You know, you go into the book of Isaiah, it'll tell you that you're not supposed to do what's pleasurable in your mind and your satisfaction on a Sabbath day. That includes leisure activity of, doing your hobbies. If you like watching stand-up comedy and playing video games or whatever, watching your favorite movies, TV shows, cartoons, animes, whatever. This includes sex as well too, man. You know, sex and sexual pleasure. You know, you're supposed to cut that off for that 24-hour period of the Sabbath day. So this is a high holy day. Well, it's not a high holy day, but it is a holy day that the Most High has set, a peculiar day that we're supposed, like I said, to observe, to uphold, and to keep. And you have an account in the scriptures in Exodus where there was a man, an Israelite man, who broke the Sabbath. You know, he was picking sticks when he was supposed to pick sticks for what I believe for kindle, for fire, cook, to keep warm in the wintertime. And he deliberately broke it when he knew better, and the Most High showed him no mercy by putting his ass to death. Well, he got mercy, the foreknowledge of being given a warning to do all that you're supposed to do before the Sabbath day. But he ignored that mercy, and he ended up breaking the Lord's Sabbath day, and the Lord judged him. You know, he didn't give him no extra chance. He made an example unto all of Israel during that period of time of when Moses, Aaron, and the Israelites were coming out of Egypt, our forefathers, that you are to keep his commandments or otherwise face the penalties of the commandments. Whether it's minuscular punishments, whether it's middleweight punishments, or whether it's the most severe punishment that you can receive, which is being excommunicated out of the congregation of Israel and ultimately being put to death. The ultimate punishment. Okay? So we're going to touch on the understanding of the new moon, because this is how you're going to come to grasp and understanding the Sabbath day. In this world, there is a lie perpetuated by the Revelation 3 and 9, Ezekiel 36 chapter, fake Idumean, Edomite, Caucasian, so-called white Jews, who are the imposters, who are not the real Jews when you go into the scriptures in the Holy Bible. And they tell you basically that the Sabbath is every 7 days, which is true, but they lie and say that the Sabbath comes on Friday or begins on Friday to Saturday sundown, which is a lie. We're going to teach in this lesson through the spirit of Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai that the Sabbath is indeed pursuing to the new moon and the new moon calendar. All right, the lunar new moon calendar. That the new moon indicates and designates and establishes when a new month begins and when to start counting the Sabbath 7-day sequence. So let's get into this lesson. This is Wikipedia, or Wikipedia search on Google for new moon. And this is the definition that's here on Wikipedia. It says, in astronomy, in which the word astronomy, in its etymology, the word astro means star. Nami is similar to ology, which means the study of. And you really get to the technical understanding of the modern day definition for the word astronomy. All it means to study the contents in the sky, in the heavens, in outer space, such as the stars, including planets, the different moons, and the sun, and our solar system and our galaxy and the Milky Way. So it says in astronomy, new moon is the first phase of the moon when it orbits as seen from the earth. The moment when the moon and the sun have the same ecliptical longitude, the moon is not visible at this time except when it is seen in a silhouette during a solar eclipse when it is illuminated by earthshine. All right. I don't know what this is right here. Let me get this out the way real quick. All right, the lunation or synodic month is the mean average time from one new moon to the next. Jump down. It says the average length of a lunation is 29.5308588 days, or in simpler words, 29 days, 12 hours, 44 minutes, and 3 seconds. And that's spiritual. You know, you see that 12 and that 44. That is like a variation of 144. However, the length of any synodic month can vary from 29.26 to 29.80 days due to the perturbing effects of the sun's gravity on the moon's eccentric orbit. In a lunar calendar, each month corresponds to a lunation. Each lunar cycle can be assigned a unique lunation number to identify it. So basically, each month is the span of 4 weeks, 1 day, half a day, 44 minutes, and 3 seconds. That is the true counting of time when it comes to a month. There's no such thing as a month with 31 days. There's no such thing as a month with 27, 26, 28 days. That's all made up BS with Esau's Gregorian Julian calendar. Esau, the so-called Caucasian white male. All right, with his falsehood, his farces, and this disinformation that he sets up on purpose. Which, when you go into the Gregorian and Julian calendar, that's the modern-day calendar followed in America today in the Western Hemisphere, also out there in the United Kingdom, Britain, Ireland, Scotland, and Wales. And it's based upon paganism, going back to the ancient worship of pagan deities throughout the Greco-Roman society. So we're not to follow the Gregorian Julian calendar, which is the modern day calendar that we follow in the society here today in America, you know, or the people of this world. Because, brothers, in the truth, the Hebrew Israelites, we keep the calendar observance of the Most High, which is by this new moon. And we're going to prove it through the scriptures in a second. So we got that. Let's go real quick to the book of Ecclesiasticus in the King James Version Bible. To be specific, the 1611. You could use the KJV or the KJV 1611. It's the same thing. One just Old English. But if you use the KJV, you have to have the authorized Apocrypha, which is a separate book that is a red hardcover book. Okay? If you want to go into Ecclesiasticus and the different books throughout the Apocrypha, which are a part of the Bible, and they say and state and back up the same things that are stated throughout the rest of the books in the Bible that are not considered of the Apocrypha. So we're in the book of Ecclesiasticus or Sirach, beginning in the 43rd chapter, about the 6th verse. He, which is referring to the Most High, made the moon also to serve in her season for a declaration of times and a sign of the world. From the moon is the sign of feast, a light that decreaseth in her perfection. The month is called after her name, increasing wonderfully and her changing, being an instrument of the armies above, shining in the firmament of heaven. All right, let's go back real quick to the 7th verse. It says, from the moon is the sign of the feast, these high holy days, and even including the Sabbath, a light that decreaseth in her perfection. What is that decreasing? When the moon waxes is when it grows from the new moon, which is basically no moon outside at all. The moon is outside, but you cannot see it. It's darkened. You can see it kind of like a dark shaded silhouette. That's the new moon. That comes every 29 days. 29 days and some change in hours. All right. Then you have the sliver, the crescent of the moon, which is in the first week. Then you have the quarter to the half moon, which comes through the 2nd and the 3rd week. Really, about the time of the 3rd week, you have the full moon just about there. What they call the gibbous, the waxing gibbous, meaning it's growing till its fullest estate of being visible, which is the full moon. And as you progress into the 4th week, it goes from the full moon to the waning, which means to decrease, like it says in the 7th verse right here, it goes into the waning gibbous, which it turns into 75% visibility of the moon, into a half moon, into the crescent moon, and eventually when that 29 days and some change in hours finally accomplishes, you have the new moon, where the new moon is not visible. Because there's only 4 weeks in a month. There's only 4 weeks in a month, and it is not 28 days. It is not 31 days. Okay. So let me jump back to the 6th verse in Sirach, the 43rd chapter, which we're reading right here. It says, he made the moon also to serve in her season for a declaration of the times. Declaration means the stating. It means this is what it is. That's the indication. That's what lets you, that's what tells you. The word declaration means to tell you of times, what time it is, and a sign of the world. Jump back down to verse 8. It says the moon is called after her name. Okay? So, real quick, this website right here is called Etma Online. And it gives the etymology of words. The word etym means true. Ology means study of. So etymology means the true study of words. All right, the etymology of words. So the word moon comes from the Old English word mona, from the Proto-Germanic word which is menon, cognates Old Saxon and Old High German mono, which is from Old Frisian mona, and from Old Norse mani, Danish main, Dutch man, German man, Gothic minna, which translates into being moon. So it says moon month cognates Sanskrit masa, moon month. It basically goes through all these other languages where they all have a similar sound for the word moon. You got the Avestan language, Ma, Persian, Ma, Armenian, Mis, Greek, Mene. See? Latin, menses. That sounds similar to menstrual cycle, like for women when they're on their periods, right? When they're on their moon, they're monthly, right? All right? So that's basically what the word moon means, man. It means month. That's what the word month means. It means moon. Tomato, tomato, vice versa. So back to Ecclesiastes, the 43rd chapter, and at the 8th verse. The month is called after her name, increasing wonderfully and changing, being an instrument of the armies above, shining in the firmament of heaven. Let's go to Genesis, the 1st chapter. This is the book of Genesis at the blue letter bible.org or blb.org. You can type in all kind of Bible verses. You won't find the Apocrypha on this website. You got to go to the King James Online website, which through the Spirit, I came across that website a few years ago, and that's been a real helpful instrumental website that the Most High has put out there for brothers. If you want to go and look up the Apocrypha, if you don't have an Apocrypha at home, or let's say you forgot your Apocrypha somehow while on the highways and byways, the streets teaching, where you could go into your cell phone and look up the online Apocrypha, which is on the King James Online. This is Genesis, the 1st chapter, verse 14. And it says, and God, I'm reading verbatim because it's really Alahayim, which is powers, which is the powers in definition is referring to Yahushai and the angels. I could go further into who the angels are, but I'm not going to even go into that subject thoroughly in this video, all right? So that word translates into powers. And the powers were directed by the Most High at that time, by Yahweh. It says, and God said, let there be lights in the firmament of the heaven to divide the day from the night. And let them be for signs and for seasons and for days and years. Again, the lights in the firmament, the lights in the heaven is what? The sun and the moon. And the Most High said, let them be for signs and for seasons and for days and years. or the seasons, days, and years. They're all indicators of periods of time. They're declarators. They tell you what periods of time you're in. The seasons, the 4 seasons, of what time of the year you're in. The sun itself, where the sun is located in the sky during the day, tells you where the sun basically is at. If the sun is directly above you, it is more than likely 12 to 1 or 2 o'clock. You know, if the sun is close to setting, that means, well, it depends, you know, if you're in so-called the daylight saving time. If you see the sun about to set, depending what time of the year it is, that means the sun is about to set around 5 o'clock, or more than likely around late 7 o'clock, like we're in the period of growing to the spring or summertime, whatever part of time of that is for the daylight saving. So in the Bible, it tells you, we read in Genesis and in Sirach. If you don't believe the Apocrypha, it tell you right here in Genesis, the first chapter of the Bible, in the 14th verse, that the lights in the sky are indicators, they're declarators, they tell the time. Okay? So I'm gonna go into this video real quick and let you know, he sounds like Esau, but this is another spiritual thing for you brothers that are coming into the truth. You have a lot of Israelites, even though everybody upon the earth were originally so-called dark-skinned brown people. And when I say dark-skinned brown people, I'm referring to how Negroes in America look. Like, for instance, your Bernie Macs, the guy that plays Shaft, what's his name, man? Damn, I forget his name. He played in Wesley Snipes. You know, your Wesley Snipes. You know, at one point in time, every race upon the earth, even a so-called white man at one point in time, you know, not referring to Esau, but spiritually Esau's prior incarnation as Cain, okay, was a so-called black man. And reincarnation is also in the Bible as well too, in case you brothers don't know that are just now coming into this truth. But at one point in time, point being, everybody on the earth were dark-skinned people at one point in time. That includes the Arabs, that includes the Asians, that includes the Aboriginal. Well, a lot of Aboriginals are still dark-skinned to this day. All right, that includes the Hispanics, the Native Americans. At one point in time, everybody on the planet were so-called Negroid-looking people. They were so-called black-looking people. And the proof in the pudding of that is not only throughout history of how you had Alexander the so-called Great with the Edomite Macedonians and the Coon Uncle Tom Spartan Negroes, which were Israelites from the southern kingdom of Israel, all right, the Jews, how they aided and assisted those Edomite Caucasians among the Greek Macedonians in conquering the other nations. And in return, the white man raped their woman, and that was the beginning, the initiation of lighter skin tones among dark nations. Because prior before the Greeks took over and raped women of other countries, which is referring to the Middle Eastern woman, a Northern African woman, Asian woman, going into India and all that over there. Even the Japhetic woman of Europe in that region, you know, everybody were dark-skinned, black-looking people. Look at the ancient depictions of the Etruscans among the Greeks. The original Greeks were black. All right? And the proof's in the pudding, like I said. To this day, you still have blacks in Arabia. You still have blacks in China and Japan. And no, they don't descend. Some descend from black men that were soldiers over there reproducing and making babies. But no, a lot of them, a great quantity of them, never descended from Negroes that went in the military and got Asian women pregnant over there in China and Vietnam and all that, Cambodia and Laos and those Southeast Asian countries. But they were already like that, okay? But the spiritual thing about the fact that you got Israelites among these nations that look like these nations, I'm about to play this video where the dude that's talking, he sounds like a Caucasian, but more than likely he's probably an Israelite. All right. Now this video right here is going to give a simplistic.
Hello, kids. Space Pro Planetarium.
It's going to give a simplistic edification about, you know, understanding the cycle of the new moon and how it physically looks when you look at it. Besides just me telling you, brothers.
Welcomes you to the show on the lunar cycle. Have you ever seen the moon on a clear night sky? If you've observed the moon carefully, you would have seen that it doesn't look the same on all nights. On some nights, the moon is big and round, and on others, it is a thin slice of light in the sky. Have you ever wondered why the moon looks different every night? You will be surprised to know that the way our moon looks to us is not as much about the moon as it is about the sun and the earth. Strange, isn't it? Let's understand how. The moon always has a spherical shape like a basketball, but it doesn't always look that way to us. We always see exactly half of the moon. Some of the time, that half is lit by the sun and we see it. At other times, it isn't lit by the sun at all, and we can't see it. Most of the time, the part of the moon that we see is partially lit by the sun and partially shadowed. The moon looks different to us depending on where it is in orbit. Remember, the moon revolves around the Earth once every 29 days. In other words, once a month. As the moon moves around our Earth, we see a different part of it lit by the sun. When the moon is on one side of the Earth and the sun is on the other, we see one half of the moon that is bright with sunlight. This moon is called the full moon because we see a full round circle. Each of the positions of the moon in orbit has a name. Let's look at what they are. When less than half of the moon is lit by the sun, it is called a crescent. When more than half of the moon is lit by the sun, it is called a gibbous. Waxing gibbous indicates the part of the moon that is lit and growing, whereas waning gibbous is the part of the moon that is lit and shrinking. Based on what we just learned, let's look at the different phases of the moon. There are 8 phases in all. We'll now explore each phase of the moon. The lunar cycle begins with the new moon phase, when the moon is not visible from the Earth. This is because the half of the moon that faces away from the Earth is lit, and we only see the dark half. During the waxing crescent phase, we begin to see a very small part of the moon lit by the sun, but most of it is still shadowed. In the first quarter phase, only one half of the moon is visible from the Earth. This is because the right half of the moon appears lit, and the left side of the moon is still shadowed. In the waxing gibbous phase, more than half of the moon appears lit by the sun. When you see a waxing gibbous moon, you know that a full moon is just a few days away. During the full moon phase, the moon is on one side of the Earth and the sun is on the other. The sun illuminates the half of the moon that faces the Earth directly, and the moon looks like a full round circle. In the waning gibbous phase, the other half of the moon is lit by the sun, and we see it looking like a little less than a whole circle. The waning gibbous moon looks like it is shrinking, doesn't it? But it's not. In the third quarter phase, the left half of the moon appears lit, and the right side of the moon appears dark. During the waning crescent phase, the moon looks like a crescent. This moon signals the beginning of a new cycle, and means that you will see the new moon in a few days. Here is a quick quiz on the lunar cycle. You need to identify the phases of the lunar cycle based on pictures of the moon you see on screen.
Alright, that basically was the point right there, you know. That basically was the point of a physical example, rather than me just going ahead and going to like a little a chalkboard and drawing and all that. This is a good example. It's a good example, broke down. More than likely, probably Israelite foreigner, you know, because you got Israelites that look like Edomites, like what's his name, Kessler, and a few other genius so-called white guys that are really Israelites. They descend back to Israel. Because Tesla was from the tribe of Levi. You know, you go into the history of the Israelites who were Moors that were colonizing certain parts. What the fuck is wrong with this? Anyway, when you had certain Israelites who basically were colonizing into Europe, you had Israelites that basically came out of the Greco-Roman society towards Italy, and they went into France. Those were Levites, and they became the Salian Franks, and then they did colonization among the Japhetic people, the Gauls of that land of ancient France, to Switzerland and Germany and Poland and Czech Republic and Austria and all that. So those were Levites, man. So Tesla is an Israelite, and he's also from the tribe of Levi. Now, real quick, when you go to look up the Google Calendar for May 2016, you look up the 2016 new moon calendar, the website. We had the new moon for January on the 9th, Saturday to Sunday. We had the new moon for February the 8th, Sunday to Monday, sundown. We had I'm saying it wrong. We had the no, you know what? I'm stating in the right. We had for March, Tuesday to Wednesday, that was the new moon. We had for April the 7th, Wednesday to Thursday, sundown for the new moon. And this month we have for May. Thursday to Friday, sundown for the new moon and also the Sabbath. Last month was Wednesday to Thursday. This month is Thursday to Friday. All right. So let me go ahead and go to this calendar. So the new moon, we're going to keep the last Sabbath, the fourth Sabbath of this month, which is going to be from Wednesday to Thursday, sundown. But we're also going to go ahead and hold the new moon, which is Thursday to Friday, sundown. So it's going to be something like 2 consecutive Sabbath days in a row. That's how we're supposed to observe this new moon coming up. And then once the new moon comes in, we count 7 days after it ends until the next Sabbath. The beginning of the month is going to be Thursday to Friday, and the first Sabbath is going to come in 7 days afterwards. So let me see. Thursday to Friday. So once sundown hits on Thursday to Friday, we're going to count from Friday to Saturday, 1 day. Saturday to Sunday, 2 days. Sunday to Monday, 3 days. Monday to Tuesday, 4 days. Tuesday to Wednesday, 5 days. Wednesday to Thursday, 6 days. Thursday to Friday, 7 days. The 7 days is going to begin on Thursday to Friday. When I said 7 days, and I touched the 13th on Friday, Friday the 13th, when I touched it, when I said the 7th day or the 7 days, that I meant like the 7 day ends on Friday at evening. Because remember, the new moon and the Sabbath, and just in general, all days begin and end at sundown. They both begin and end at the same time at sundown. Okay? So that's 7 days. Once you count after Thursday to Friday is over with, you count, that's 7 days, man. Counting from sundown. Counting to sundown. That is. Not when it hits 12 o'clock midnight, it's the next day. That's Esau's Julian Gregorian bullshit. Alright? Excuse my French. But this is the true way of counting days within a month. There's 4 weeks in a month. 29.5 days, 29 and a half days, 12 hours and some change, 44 minutes. All right. And this is basically how you keep the Sabbath, and you count the new moons. So I hope you brothers were edified, all through the praises and glory of Yahweh Bahasham Yahweh Shai. And Lord willing, I'll go ahead and I'll do an additional extra video to this. And I'll actually do an extra video and I'll put it on my other channel. I'll upload it to my other channel and I'll upload it to this channel as well too. But I'm just gonna upload this video to this channel, the main channel, Israelite in Memphis. And I'm gonna end up changing the name of the channel to Israelites in Memphis, since I'm no longer by myself, you know. So at that, I say all praises and glory to Yahweh, Bahasham Yahweh Shai. Double honors to the elders of Great Millstone. And salutations, props, and honors to you brothers that labor in sincerity, truth, and diligence to the best of your ability. Shalom.